Hey guys, welcome to Bloodlines. I'm Olvaar, and in this video, I'm going to explain in detail how you can progress your Sharingan, how to unlock some of the strongest abilities in the game. I'll show you the best way to unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan with a group of friends, as well as some things about how the MS method works that you might not know. If you're new to Bloodlines, make sure you check the playlist down below for more videos on this game. Anyway, let's get started. So there's two different ways to unlock Sharingan. The first one is exclusive to members of the Uchiha bloodline. All they have to do is get gripped and lose life force. This means that if you're about to get killed by another player, but you have Archromo's Blessing in your inventory and you get saved by him, you won't unlock your Sharingan. There doesn't seem to be any requirement to naturally unlocking Sharingan other than this. I was able to awaken my Sharingan after getting gripped without having really done anything in that playthrough yet. I think it's chance based because I wasn't able to awaken Sharingan consistently right after I spawned though. This is only needed once per playthrough. After you've unlocked your Sharingan once, as an Uchiha player, you'll be able to regrow your eyes by aging up. The second way of unlocking a Sharingan is by implanting them. This is available to everyone regardless of their clan. Even if you're an Uchiha, I recommend you listen to this because it affects you directly, as you'll be hunted down for your eyes by other players. You can find Sharingan eyes as drops from corrupted points and as a reward after completing a boss room. These items can be dropped, so you can always trade for them if you need them. But the main way of getting these eyes is stealing them from another player. You can scoop someone else's Sharingan eyes while they're knocked by using a consumable item called an extraction spoon, which you can also find from corrupted points and boss room rewards. Or if you're a player from the Uzumaki bloodline and you go down the sealing skill path, you'll have access to Extraction Seal, which has unlimited uses and also allows you to steal eyes. For this reason, as an Uchiha, you definitely want to watch out for Uzumaki players. If you see someone using sealing chains, you can instantly know they're Uzumaki. Another dead giveaway is the symbol on their back, or if their hair color is red or yellow. There's a few things to keep in mind when you're trying to steal a Sharingan from another player. You can't scoop the eyes of a player with Archromo's Blessing. This means that if you're from the Uchiha bloodline, the moment you lose Archromo's protection, you'll be targeted by other players for your eyes. If your eyes get stolen, you'll have impaired eyesight, but you can always talk to a medic NPC to heal them back up. Scooping someone's eyes is not guaranteed to work. There's always a chance that you fail. The higher the stage of the Sharingan eye, the more likely it is that you will manage to extract them though. An exception to this is if they have the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which we will cover later in the video. Something else you should keep in mind is that if you're trying to steal someone's Sharingan while having the same type of eyes in your inventory, you have a 100% chance of failing to extract those eyes. And if you fail to extract someone's eyes, they'll have scoop protection until they age up again. Anyway, once you have Sharingan eyes in your inventory, you'll need to implant them by talking to an NPC. Just head to training grounds and follow this path to get to him. There's a secret entrance here, make sure you don't fall into the void. If you don't even have a bit of a Sin, he will not even interact with you. If you need Sin, I recommend stealing the relics at Bio Bay and Fort Mellow. If you steal both, you'll get 6 Sin, which should be enough to talk to him. If you try implanting eyes too early, he will say that your body is not strong enough to undergo an operation like this. This just means that you need to age up. I was able to talk to him after getting to age 16. Once you have the Sharingan eyes, enough Sin to talk to him, and 200 Ryo, choose the first dialogue option to start the implant. Make sure you're holding out the eyes you want to implant or it won't work. Implanting eyes can always fail, regardless of you meeting the requirements or not. Also, generally speaking, you want to make sure you don't have eyes implanted already. You can use a surgical kit from the Ember shop to guarantee the implant will work if you meet the requirements. Or you can just risk it. Keep in mind that this surgical kit only guarantees an implant if you meet the requirements for implanting that specific eye. If you don't meet the implant requirements, you will lose the eye and keep the surgical kit in your inventory. There doesn't seem to be any implant requirements for Sharingan. It looks like failing an implant when you're not using a surgical kit is purely up to chance. Make sure you read the pinned comments in the description in case there's any changes to this. The Sharingan is in awakening mode. This means that you're on a timer when using it. You just need to click on the Sharingan icon to activate it. The one tomoe Sharingan allows you to see the health of other players and weave hand signs more quickly. As far as awakenings go, this first stage isn't amazing, so I wouldn't go out of my way to get it until you have enough grips to quickly progress to its third stage. Once you've unlocked the Sharingan, you'll need grips and Sharingan activations to reach the higher stages of this eye. You get grips when you kill another player by pressing B while they're knocked. Killing a player with Archromo's Blessing doesn't give you any grips, so don't bother targeting them. And killing a reanimated player gives you the same amount of grips as a non-reanimated player. If you're new, this might seem like a weird thing to even bring up, but it wasn't always like this. You get Sharingan activations by using a Sharingan Awakening. It's that simple. You can get these quickly by jumping out of the map so your character resets. Just make sure you're not in combat while you're doing this or you will lose life force. Or you can also rejoin servers to get activations quickly. You can use a progression soul to check how many grips and activations you currently have. You can find this item by breaking corrupted points or completing boss rooms. You can also find memory souls in the same way. This item allows you to keep some of the grips and activations you've gotten even if you wipe. It doesn't make any difference when you got these grips or activations. You will also need a few M1s in combat XP, but it's nothing you should have to worry about by the time you get the grips and activations. To upgrade to a 3 tomoe Sharingan, you will need to talk to the stone tablet. You can find it by following this path starting from Sarithia. Press E to open this door if it's closed. When you talk to the stone tablet, click on the second option, these eyes of mine. If you have enough grips and activations, you'll be able to upgrade your Sharingan. To get 2 tomoe, you need 4 grips and 8 activations. This second stage gives all the benefits of the first one, but you also have a chance to dodge M1 attacks while this mode is active. You will also be able to see what skill your opponent currently has equipped. This will allow you to react more easily. To get 3 tomoe, you need 10 grips with 25 activations. The third stage gives all the benefits of the previous stages, and you will also get a Genjutsu ability when you M1. This ability hides the UI for other players. There doesn't seem to be any difference in terms of requirements based on your bloodline. You need the same amount of grips and activations regardless of being an Uchiha or not. Again, just make sure you read the pinned comment in case any of this changes. If you get your eyes stolen, you won't lose any of your grips. Once you have them, you won't have to redo them during that playthrough. This makes progressing your Sharingan a second time much easier. But you will lose part of your activations, so keep that in mind when you're getting jumped by a group of people, which will happen a lot because they want to steal your eyes for themselves. If you're grinding activations to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, it's not the worst idea to just leave the game before they have a chance to do that. There's currently 2 ways of unlocking MS. Let's get the easiest one to explain out of the way first. You can implant a Mangekyo Sharingan. It's almost identical to implanting a base Sharingan. The only difference is that you will need to have at least 25 grips as part of the requirements. The other way is to progress a 3 tomoe Sharingan into a Mangekyo Sharingan. Now this can happen normally while playing the game. This is how the first player who awakened MS got it, in a real fight scenario. But this is time consuming and unrealistic for most players, so what we want to do is recreate the conditions to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. This is what we call the MS method. For this method, you will need a minimum of 3 people, each playing a different role. The person getting MS, the friend, and the enemy. The person getting MS needs to have the following requirements before even starting. They need to have a 3 tomoe Sharingan. They need to have 30 grips. I've seen people claim that you can do it with less. I'm not sure that might be the case, but from my experience, you need at least 30 grips. They need to have anywhere from 70 to 80 activations. This used to be a lot less before, but it's changed. Thankfully, you can get these activations very quickly now. And this is where a lot of guides get it wrong in my opinion. You need to have the small amount of sin. I think I stole 4 relics in different locations, so I should have had around 12 sin when I did this. Not sure on the exact number, but it's definitely lower than 25. I've seen people go rogue just to get MS. You do not need to do this at all. The friend, on the other hand, needs to meet the following requirements. It should be someone who has never gripped you and who you have never gripped. This is the part where people go wrong the most. It's very easy to accidentally kill someone. If you damage them enough and someone else grips them, it can count as you having killed them. The friend also needs to have 3 tomoe Sharingan. Not MS, not 2 tomoe. 3 tomoe Sharingan. The friend needs to be from the same faction as the person getting MS. The enemy doesn't need to meet any special requirements as far as I know. They just need to kill the friend in front of the person getting MS after they've established a bond. Ideally, the person playing the role of the enemy should be familiar with the MS method to not mess anything up while doing this. Once everyone meets all of those requirements, here's what you need to do. The enemy needs to knock the friend. Once the friend is knocked, the person getting MS needs to carry the friend. Just press V to pick them up for a second, and then drop them. Once that's done, the enemy needs to knock the person getting MS. Once the person getting MS is knocked, the friend needs to carry the person getting MS. Again, it can just be for a second. This completes the bond between the friend and the person getting MS, provided they have never killed each other before. Then the enemy needs to knock the friend and then pick the friend up. While the friend is being carried by the enemy, they should activate their 3 tomoe Sharingan. This is just dumb because you can't activate your Sharingan while ragdolled. Immediately after that, the person getting MS should also activate their 3 tomoe Sharingan. While both the friend and the person getting MS have 3 tomoe Sharingan active, the enemy needs to drop the friend and grip him near the person getting MS. It needs to be 3 tomoe specifically. You might not actually need to have 3 tomoe active, by the way, I'm not sure. It doesn't take long, so I just do it out of habit. And congrats, if you did everything correctly, you now have MS. This method can also be done by non-uchiha. The requirements seem to be the same regardless of being uchiha or not. And the MS type you get when doing this method seems to be random each time. You can also add as many people getting Mangekyo Sharingan into the mix as you want, provided they also establish a bond with the friend. I'll show some footage of this on screen so it's easier to understand. Basically, each person that wants to get MS needs to carry the friend on their arms, and their friend needs to carry each of them on his arms too. There's no shared grips needed in all of this. Each person can get the grips and activations individually before even joining the same server. What is real though is the need to establish the bond by carrying each other. I've seen some guys say you only need to carry the friend, others say you only need to carry the person getting MS. I've tested this thoroughly on brand new accounts and you need to do both. I think the confusion comes from having done one of the carrying steps previously. This might even carry through wipes. And if you watched the video and understood the instructions and the requirements and it's still not working, feel free to ask me in the comments. But I'm just letting you know, in 95% of these cases, here's what you did wrong. You accidentally gripped your friend and you didn't notice or you don't remember. I've been guilty of this myself. Just try redoing the method with a different player acting as a friend, and it should work. And if it's still not working, make sure you check the pinned comment in case there was any small changes since I made the video. Also, something I want to mention, and I need to give credit to Flare for finding this out, you can sometimes awaken MS by killing the friend directly, assuming you meet every other requirement I've mentioned and created the bond by carrying each other. I've done a bit of testing on this after Flare found it accidentally. From what I can gather, besides being very inconsistent compared to the standard method, it also has a downside of not being able to be done more than once with the same person. If the player trying to get MS grips the friend directly, that friend will never be able to help that person get MS again. You only have one shot with this. If you're missing any requirements and it doesn't work, you'll need to find a new friend to awaken MS with. I'm not 100% on this though, I've only tested it a handful of times, so make sure to read the pinned comment for any updates on this. And yeah, if you're not a rogue player, I really don't recommend you do this because you will lose reputation and you might get into trouble if you kill someone from your own village. The Mangekyo Sharingan has all the previous Sharingan buffs, like being able to see the health of other players, the skill they have equipped, increased hand sign speed, and an increased chance to dodge M1 attacks. If you press F while this mode is active, you will also get a 360-degree block thanks to your Susanoo ribcage. You gain access to new and more powerful abilities than you ever had with a 3 tomoe Sharingan too. These abilities vary depending on your MS type. If you're not an Uchiha, the chakra cost of using these skills will be higher. Using your MS skills will slowly blind you. It might not seem noticeable at first, but continued use will seriously affect your eyesight. Thankfully, you can restore your eyesight easily by talking to any medic NPC and paying them a small amount of Ryo. Players with the healing skill path unlocked can heal the eyes of other players with the injury heal skill, or heal themselves if they use self-injury heal. These are the current types of Mangekyo Sharingan in the game. If more are added or some of them are reworked, I'll do a small follow-up video to this one. OB2MS has 3 skills. The M1 skill, called Intangibility, gives you iframes for a few seconds, although you're not able to attack while in this state. Each hit you take while Intangibility is active will make you recover a stamina bar. The M2 skill allows you to warp yourself and others to the tomoe dimension. You can leave this area by using the M2 skill again. You will go back to the exact same place where you first opened the portal. Or you can leave by interacting with the tomoe portal. If you're in combat, you will not be able to leave, unless you have tomoe essence in your inventory, in which case you can choose the second dialogue option to leave. You will be teleported back to your spawn point after talking to this NPC. If you have the nomadic flaw, you will be teleported to one of those spawn points instead. Pressing M2 while chakra charging activates the 3rd skill, which allows you to warp other players to this tomoe dimension. Itachi MS has 2 skills. The M1 skill is called Amaterasu. It's a long-range attack that applies a burning element that you can't dash out of. You can use this skill to burn gates like the one block in the Wood Golem boss room. The M2 skill is called Susanoo Strike. While you're using this move, you have hyper armor. It can hit multiple enemies at once and applies a normal burning element. Sasuke MS has 2 skills. The M1 skill summons your Susanoo form. While in this form, you get special M1s that also apply a burning element that you can't dash out of. The M2 skill is a grab move that throws players far away. You can use this on small and large targets, so it's great for farming and voiding other players. Madara MS has 2 skills. The M1 skill is a self buff that massively improves your M1 swing speed. as well as the speed at which you weave hand signs to a much higher degree than the Mangekyo Sharingan already does. The M2 summons a Susanoo to throw 2 sword slashes. These apply a burning ailment similar to other MS types. And if you're from the Uchiha bloodline, all of these Mangekyo Sharingan can be upgraded to their EMS variants, which I'll explain in the next segment. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is one of the strongest awakenings in the game, and it's exclusive to the Uchiha bloodline. It completely removes the downside of making you slowly go blind when you use the awakening skills. It also has the perk of not being scoopable if your sin is below 20, so once you get it, you won't have to worry about someone stealing it unless you don't clear your sins often. It's also an upgrade over your previous MS abilities. But before I get to that, let's explain how to actually get it first. Like I just mentioned, to obtain an EMS, the first thing you will need is to be part of the Uchiha bloodline. This mode is exclusive to it. You will need 30 grips. It might be slightly lower than that, like I mentioned when I was explaining the MS method, I'm not sure, but if you have 30 grips, you should be good. Which if you awaken the MS naturally, you should already have. You keep these grips until you wipe, so you don't have to worry about this again until then, if that ever happens. You will also need 20 sin or more. The EMS sin requirement is a bit higher than what you need to awaken MS, but it's definitely below the amount of sin you need to get sent to the rogue faction. Just make sure you don't accidentally go over that threshold. You will also need to have impaired eyesight. This is an easy requirement to mess up, but all you need to do is not heal your eyes after you get your Mangekyo Sharingan scoop. If you try implanting an MS when your eyesight is perfect, you'll just get MS again. I tested this with a surgical kit and I'm pretty confident that's how this works. In any case, even if this isn't actually a requirement and I got this part wrong, just make sure you're pretty close to going blind before implanting. It's not worth experimenting. The last requirement is implanting someone else's Mangekyo Sharingan. If you meet all the previous requirements but you try implanting your own MS, you'll either fail the implant or get the same MS you had. The moment you implant an MS, that becomes your MS, regardless of who originally awakened it. If you did the MS method with someone else, just drop your Mangekyo Sharingan and you should be good on this front. Anyway, make sure you check the pinned comment in case there's any small changes since I've uploaded the video. Let's recap. To get EMS, you need to be an Uchiha, you need 30 grips, 20 sin, impaired eyesight, and someone else's Mangekyo Sharingan. Once you have that, you should scoop your own Mangekyo Sharingan and implant a new set of eyes. Just head to Kabuto and you'll implant your new set of eyes for a fee. The EMS implant can fail, although in my experience it's unlikely. The older your character is, the less likely it is that it will fail, I believe. If that does happen to you though, all you have to do is get someone else's Mangekyo Sharingan again and implant it, and if it works, you'll get EMS. It's a two-step process. You need 2 different sets of Mangekyo eyes. If you meet the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan requirements but you never had MS before, or you scoop your EMS and you try implanting a Mangekyo Sharingan, you'll just get a normal MS. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan you get will be the same type as the MS you previously had. Once you have an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, make sure you clear your sins so you don't get them stolen. If that does happen, you'll have to progress your Sharingan again, although you'll conserve the grips and some of the activations. Anyway, here's how the EMS currently in the game improve over their MS counterparts. Madara EMS gets a 3rd skill. You can use it by M2ing while you chakra charge. You'll do a short-range AoE attack that hits multiple targets and inflicts a burning ailment. The interesting thing about this move is that if you have the clone skill path unlocked, you can get your clones to use this move too. The more clones you have out, the higher the chakra cost. The M1 skill Combat Fluidity lasts longer and has increased buffs, and the M2 move now summons a Susanoo that casts 4 sword attacks instead of 2. Itachi EMS gets an Amaterasu attack with a smaller delay between activating the skill and it landing on your target. It might not seem like much, but this is a huge improvement over the base version. The M2 skill now applies a fire seal if it lands on someone, so they can't cast any jutsu for a bit. And it also gives you back some HP depending on how many targets you hit. Sasuke EMS gets increased damage resistance when the Susanoo form is active, as well as a 3rd skill that lets you shoot 3 arrows that apply an Amaterasu-like ailment. Obito EMS on the other hand lets you avoid instantly dying when you fall into a void while the mode is active. Instead, you'll take a bit of damage each second. You don't need to be using intangibility to get this effect. If you're using intangibility, you won't take damage when you're walking in a void, just like with the MS version. But not only does the EMS version of this skill last longer than the MS counterpart, but you can phase through walls when you're using it, which is perfect for escaping other players. Anyway, if you didn't get the MS type you wanted, make sure you check the next segment. So you have a few different options if you want to change your MS type. Let's go over the main ones. You can redo the MS method. Each time you awaken a Mangekyo Sharingan, the type you get is re-randomized. This means that you can get a different Mangekyo Sharingan after redoing the MS method, or you can get the exact same one you previously had. It's up to chance. If you scoop your eyes, you will lose part of the activations you previously had, but you will keep the grips, so getting the requirements needed to get MS a second time is a lot faster. If you're from the Uchiha bloodline and you want to change your MS type by implanting, here's how you do it. Once you've scooped your EMS, the MS type you get is determined by whatever the type of MS you're implanting. Basically, each MS item has hidden data that determines what type of Mangekyo Sharingan it is. It's not random, it depends on who originally awakens it. So if I want to get Obito-MS through implanting as an Uchiha, I need to scoop my EMS first, and then scoop someone who previously had Obito-MS. That means if you get your MS stolen as an Uchiha, you won't have to worry about losing your MS type because it only gets cleared if they scoop your EMS, which if you have low sins is unscoopable anyway. If there's any more ways to reroll your MS added to the game, I'll make sure to let you know. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.